Hey everybody, it's Hot Mom's Dinner Club, bin 11. We're ready to get started today. Today I have 4 more great exciting meals for you. We're going to start it off with chicken soft tacos. The tacos are going to be served with corn and black bean relish and guacamole. I'm going to show you how to make both of those super quick and easy. So chicken soft tacos with corn and black bean relish and guacamole. The next meal, we're going to take a piece of red meat, and we're going to turn it into chicken fried steaks. And later, we're going to use that same piece of meat to make some steak sandwiches as well. All right, so first of all, we've got chicken fried steak with mashed potatoes and sausage gravy and green beans. And we're going to serve that with biscuits and gravy. And then the next night, we're going to have breakfast for dinner. We're going to use some of the biscuits and the gravy again, and we're going to have dinner the following night. Scrambled eggs, bacon, and the biscuits and gravy. And then our last meal, we're going to finish up with steak sandwiches, and then we're also going to make a potato salad, but not like the potato salad we made before. This one's going to be kind of like a German style type of potato salad where you make a vinaigrette and you kind of have a hot vinaigrette that you dress the potatoes in. But we're also going to throw in some of those leftover vegetables from our taco night. So we're going to have a German style potato salad with some Spanish influence in there as well. So steak sandwiches served with potato salad. All right, so we're going to start our meals with our chicken soft tacos. So I started with getting our chicken marinated here. I marinated it in a half bag of taco seasoning. I'm going to start by cooking it off in a hot skillet on both sides. I'm pretty much going to cook it all the way through. I'm going to bring it back over here, and then I'm going to cut it up into small pieces. I'm going to add a little water and a little taco seasoning into that, and then just let it simmer for the rest of the time until we get everything else ready. And then meanwhile, I'm going to make the corn and black bean relish and the guacamole. So we've got our chicken going. Now we're going to start on our corn and black bean relish and our guacamole. I like doing these two salads, particularly with chicken soft tacos. It just adds like an alfresco type feeling to the dish, okay? The salads are nice and fresh with the fresh vegetables, the fresh cilantro. I also like doing these two salads together because they have some similar ingredients in them. So you can often just cut the vegetables for both and then divide it into 2 separate bowls. Okay, so to start, we're gonna start with our corn and black bean relish. This is a half bag of frozen corn. I just put it in the strainer. I literally ran it under hot water for 30 seconds and it's thawed, so it's all good. This is our half can of black beans that we had in the freezer since bin 5. So I pulled those out last night, let them thaw. I'm gonna add our corn into it. I've got some red onion here I started cutting up. Now half of this red onion is for the guacamole. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that over here. And then this is for our corn and black bean salad. I'm going to cut up some celery and some red pepper. Next, I'm going to pick and chop our cilantro. I've already got it washed here and drying. I'm going to actually do the cilantro for the guacamole and the corn and black bean relish all at the same time. So first of all, you want to pick and just throw the stems away, or save them for a stock if you want. If you want to do cilantro stems in your stock. Got the cilantro chopped up. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that in there. Rest of it we're saving for that guacamole. Now I'm going to show you when you're squeezing your limes, roll them first. This will help the juice come out a little bit easier. Just cut them in half. Also, if you're doing a lot, you can use the tongs. That way, you're not wearing out your wrist. So we're just gonna start with the half of a lime and see where we go from there. There's the little bit of vinegar, a little bit of cumin, and a little bit of olive oil. Season that up with some salt and pepper and mix it up and see what it tastes like. We can always add more lime juice if we want. Look at all those exciting colors in there. That's awesome. Let's do about half of this lime and call it done. Save the rest for the guacamole. Next, we're gonna work on our avocados. Just gonna cut these in half. Pop those off. Also, if you save the seeds and you put them in the guacamole, it's supposed to keep it from not browning. So also your lime juice, and if you keep plastic right into the guacamole, you'll keep your surface areas from browning as well. So now we're gonna finish up our guacamole. So I'm gonna start smashing the avocados. When you purchase your avocado, you want to just kind of gently push on the sides of it. And if it has some give, it is ripe. If it is hard, it is not ripe, and you cannot make guacamole with it. You can bring it home and put it in the windowsill and wait a couple days if you have no other option. But preferably you want to buy one that's ripe so that you can use it right away. Like I said, just give it a squeeze, and if it has some gives, like when you're checking the baked potatoes in the oven, if it's got some give when you switch the sides, it's ready to go. And that's it. So we got red onion, cilantro, tomatoes, lime, salt and pepper. And you also want to put plastic up to the surface area, because anywhere the air touches the avocado, it will brown. So if you smush it down in there, you're going to have less brownage on there. And if it does turn brown before you serve it, you can just take this off, just skim off that top layer of brown, and it'll be green underneath. So we've got our 2 salads made. I'm going to get the soft shell tacos in the oven. I'm going to wrap them in that foil pack, just like we did in bin 5 for the enchilada casserole. While the tortillas are warming up in the oven, I'm going to chop up the chicken into the small pieces and then warm it back up with the rest of the taco seasoning and a little bit of water. And then we'll plate all this up. So there we have our chicken soft tacos. So I cut the taco meat, the chicken, up into smaller pieces. We're serving it with that corn and black bean relish, the guacamole. I just did up some julienne lettuce and tomato. There's our chips and our salsa. Then I put the tortilla shells in the oven. They just came out. They're nice and hot. Put some spoons in there, and everybody can divvy up their stuff and make their own tacos. This is kind of a fancy presentation, but I like to show you how some of these simple meal preps, you can present them to look very nice. So if you have company coming over or something, you can do chicken soft tacos. And although it's a very simple meal, it looks really nice, and it's easy for a group of people because everybody can make their own tacos and you can eat on paper plates. Anyway, so it's just giving you different ideas. So meal 1, chicken soft tacos. So meal 2, we're going to start working on our chicken fried steaks. We're going to take 1 piece of meat. We're going to make 4 chicken fried steaks with it. And then we're going to save the rest for our steak sandwiches in our next meal. So this meal is chicken fried steaks. We're going to make mashed potatoes. I'm going to make a sausage cream gravy. We're going to serve it with green beans and biscuits. All right, so I'm going to cut a chunk of this off. This is a piece of London broil. It was $11. You can also buy tri-tip, flat iron steaks, whatever type of meat you want. You can also buy these cube steaks, the inside round, already prepared and marinated and all that. But since we're doing 2 different meals, I just went ahead and got it like this. We're going to take this like this in half. We're going to save this nice middle piece for our steak sandwiches. While we're pounding out our chicken fried steaks, we're going to just make our own homemade buttermilk. We're just going to take a little bit of milk. I put 3/4 cup of milk in there and just under a tablespoon of vinegar. The ratio is 1 tablespoon of white vinegar per 1 cup of milk. We're only doing 4 chicken fried steaks, so I think 3/4 cup of milk is fine. We're gonna let that sit for 5 minutes. It's gonna start to thicken and we're gonna have homemade buttermilk. So now I'm just gonna get our nice portions of meat here, marinating for meal 4, and then I'm gonna show you how to pound out the steaks into the chicken fried steaks. So we're just gonna lay plastic down onto the cutting board. Pound them out. I'm going to pound mine on both sides. I'm going to get one side good and done, and I'm going to take the plastic off, flip them over, and then relay the plastic on and do the other side. If you don't have a meat tenderizer, you will have to buy one, or you'll just have to buy the cube steaks that are already pounded out in the meat section of the grocer. So we've got our chicken fried steaks pounded out, so we're just going to start soaking them into our buttermilk here, and we're going to let those sit for about 30 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to get our biscuit gravy, our sausage gravy on, and we're going to start cooking that, our mashed potatoes, and then we'll bread these and we'll get them frying and get our biscuits in the oven. So now we're going to start our sausage gravy. Put a whole pound. Sometimes I make the gravy, I just do a half pound. But since we're using it for our chicken fried steak meal and our biscuits and gravy for tomorrow night, I'm going to go ahead and do a pound. You may have some extra, but I don't think a half pound would be enough. But for our weekend morning breakfasts, I just do half pound. That way you can save a half pound for another time. Or you can make a half pound with sausage gravy for one meal, and the other half of the pound I portion up sausage patties, and then we have just like eggs and sausage patties. So anyway, we're going to season this up with just a little bit of salt and pepper and some poultry seasoning. You should have some left from bin 2 when we made the pot pie. We are not going to strain this. We're going to keep the grease in there when we make our gravy. So we're browning this off. Then we're going to make our roux. We're going to add in chicken stock, the same thing as the Alfredo. I like to add some chicken stock in so that you're not adding so much dairy into this. And not that the milk has as much fat as like cream or anything, but it's just the amount of dairy. So I like to add in some chicken stock instead of all milk. So I'm going to do that as well. And while the sausage is browning, I'm going to get our potatoes on to cook. So I've got my 4 potatoes washed, diced up, skin on. I'm going to get those on to boil here. The sausage is getting brown. I'm going to start busting it up into smaller pieces. I'm going to start making my roux. And then I'm going to start it simmering. All right, so we got our gravy on to simmer. We got our potatoes on, almost ready to be mashed. We've got our chicken fried steaks breaded. We're gonna pop the biscuits in to the oven before we start frying our chicken fried steaks. And just cook the biscuits according to the package directions. Okay, so I've got a can of green beans. I'm going to get those on the stove to boil. I'm going to start breading our chicken fried steaks here. I got the deep fryer on, ready to start frying. So you can cook these in a shallow pan if you like. I'm actually going to just pop mine in the deep fryer just to get them all done at one time. I'm going to bread them up. I'm going to do flour, egg, flour. Now when we did our chicken tenders, we did flour, egg, breadcrumb. Usually whenever you say something country fried, that leads you to believe that it's going to be flour, egg, and then flour again. That gives it more of a country type breading. So I'm just going to season the flour up a bit with some salt and pepper. Remember, we pounded salt and pepper into our meat. So the meat has been sitting there and getting tenderized from the buttermilk and then seasoned with the salt and pepper that we added earlier. So, but I do want to make sure that we're getting our breading seasoned as well. You can even add in, you know, some Cajun seasoning, paprika, any other type of fun stuff you'd like to add into this. I'm just keeping it basic because this meal is quite intricate the way it is. Don't need to add any more to it. Keep it simple, right? That's just 2 eggs whipped up. I'm gonna lay them out in the pan. When they're all done, I'm gonna toss them in the deep fryer. Got our chicken fried steaks breaded, so we're gonna drop them in the deep fryer. All right, so we just finished up our chicken fried steak meal. Don't forget, save 4 biscuits for tomorrow night's dinner. And then our sausage gravy, we're gonna use some of that gravy. Half of the gravy is for tomorrow night's dinner. So here we have chicken fried steaks, mashed potatoes, green beans, biscuits, and homemade sausage gravy. So now we're going to move on to meal 3. So now, since meal 2 was kind of difficult, there was a lot going on there. We're going to have a super easy night, and that's our breakfast for dinner night. So we have our biscuits left over, we have our homemade sausage gravy left over. So we're just going to cook off some bacon, scramble some eggs, super easy breakfast for dinner. Who doesn't like that? I'm going to get our bacon going on. I'm going to save 2 strips for tomorrow night's dinner for that apple bacon vinaigrette. Meanwhile though, I'm just going to lay the rest of them out here on the pan. You know me, I like to bake them. I don't want to stand here at the stove, so I'm just going to bake them off real quick. This is a thick cut sliced bacon. And on the biscuits, you can have them and then toast them off in a pan, or you can put them in the oven whole, or you can put them in the oven in half if you want. So however you want to reheat your biscuits, I would not suggest the microwave, okay? Then you just heat up your gravy on the stove. You can heat your gravy up in the microwave. We're gonna bake off our bacon and we're gonna scramble our eggs. A little bit of oil here. If you have one of these non-stick skillets, they're awesome for eggs. Our bacon's probably close to ready, and we have our biscuits and gravy ready to go. Meal 3, scrambled eggs, bacon, biscuits, and homemade sausage gravy. So now we're moving to meal 4. That is our steak sandwiches. So we have that piece of meat that we saved from meal 2. We're just gonna cook that off, serve that on the hoagie bun with a little bit of Dijonnaise. And then we're gonna make a homemade potato salad. We're gonna start this potato salad like we did in bin 5, the cooking of the potatoes and all that. But we are going to actually make a homemade apple bacon vinaigrette, and we're going to toss the warm potatoes into the warm vinaigrette. So it's going to be more like a German style type of potato salad. So we're going to get working on our potatoes for our potato salad, and we're also going to start making that vinaigrette. So we have our water coming up to a rolling boil here. We're just going to add in some salt and pepper. We're going to get our potatoes cooking. We're going to cook those al dente, and we're going to remove them right away and rinse them with a little bit of cold water when they're done. Meanwhile, while they're cooking, we're going to go ahead and start our vinaigrette. So to make this vinaigrette, I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of oil. I cut up some red onions here. I julienne them, and then I cut them in half just to make them a little bit smaller. We don't want super huge pieces here in our potato salad. I'm also going to cut up the 2 strips of raw bacon that we left over from the pound of bacon. I'm going to cut that up into small pieces. I'm going to get my red pepper and my celery and my cilantro ready to go as well. All right, so I've got our potatoes down and I rinsed them in the cold water. We've got our bacon. It's starting to render here, all the fat's coming out of it. I'm going to add a little bit of sugar in there. And then I'm gonna deglaze it with some apple cider vinegar. We're gonna toss our potatoes in and then our vegetables. We've got red pepper, celery, and the cilantro. Just gonna mix that up, gonna let it all warm up for a second or two, and we're gonna make our steak sandwiches. So now we're gonna cook off our steak for our steak sandwiches. I just have our pieces of steak left over from when we made our chicken fried steaks. I've just got this marinating in oil, salt, pepper, and dill. I'm gonna start cooking that off. Just gonna cook it off real hard, cook it off to about a medium rare. And then we're gonna slice it. And if you wanna cook it longer, you can toss it back into the skillet. And if not, you can just serve it medium rare. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get our buns ready to go in the oven. So we have our steak came off. We got it all sliced. We have our German / Spanish style potato salad. So I've got the Dijonnaise. I'm just gonna spread that on the bun. Gonna load it up with some of this steak. You could add whatever else you like to this. Cheese, lettuce, tomato. I'm gonna keep it real simple. We got our steak sandwich here on the hoagie with Dijonnaise and our German potato salad. All right, so thank you for joining me today for Ben 11, Hot Mom's Dinner Club. All right, so, our bins are all about taking ingredients and using them throughout the 4 meals that we have. So our first meal of this bin were our chicken soft tacos. So we made our chicken with our corn black bean relish, our guacamole, chip salsa, with the soft taco, the flour tortillas in the back. We used the rest of the vegetables that we didn't use in our 2 salads here. We put those into our German style potato salad. So nothing went to waste there. And then meal 2, we moved into our chicken fried steaks. We did our chicken fried steaks with our homemade mashed potatoes. We did sausage gravy, biscuits, and green beans. And we used our leftover meat from our chicken fried steaks to make our steak sandwich in meal 4. But before that, we saved our gravy and 4 of our biscuits. We started up with some eggs and bacon, and we had breakfast for dinner. Biscuits and gravy, scrambled eggs, and bacon. And then we used 2 strips of that pound of bacon to make our apple bacon vinaigrette that we made our German style potato salad with. Our steak sandwiches with our somewhat German style potato salad. All right, so that's bin 11, Hot Mom's Dinner Club.